Hello, everyone. Platform news here. David Snyder. This is the very first platform news live stream, and I apologize. The lighting is awful. My volume may be off. Oh, it's not. And I am hoping that we're going to start doing these live streams a little bit more frequently. I'm just going to take this out on Twitter here just for a second. Let's go that way. So I have, I want to have the comments listed over here because I don't know if I have the comments on coming up on here. You wish the volume was off, sucker. Let me just go ahead and do this real quick. I'm making sure this is all good. So guys, this is interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, I know you're kidding. We need to finish our phone call, Herman. Seriously. It's like we call, your phone has issues, and then you never call back. I'm okay with that, man, because I was tired. I went to sleep, to be honest with you. So guys, I want to talk to you today before we go into everything else, but it's kind of a this just in. Yeah, this weekend will be great too, Herman, for us too, for me. I'll just be holding the baby the whole time. Ooh, we can FaceTime it. That'd be great. But now I just want to talk about YouTube has an official response to the whole family vlogger thing, because as you know, if you don't know, you've been living under a rock. There's a bunch of really inappropriate, rude, and I'm not talking even, I'm going to say sexual in some ways. I don't know if I can say that. Comments made in on a family vlogging or family channels, including minors. Every video the videos that are including minors, and these channels have been penalized by the YouTube AI as a result of these comments being placed on their channels. Well, it's not the content creator's fault. Hey, Scott, welcome. It's not the content creator's fault that people are listing or posting these comments that are just completely inappropriate on YouTube channels. However, YouTube's AI is in fact an AI. And so this is being listed on people's channels. And by default, YouTube is penalizing content creators, family vloggers, for these inappropriate comments. Sparkle Girl, welcome. Now, what's really cool is YouTube came up with another way to combat this. Instead of having their AI demonetize or the AI penalize these family vloggers that are producing safe content, they are going to be disabling. In fact, they have disabled comments on the videos that include their kids or include the minors in these videos, so that the videos themselves are not penalized. And it's kind of a necessary evil right now. But what I'm interested in is your input. Is that an appropriate response on YouTube's part? And or is it the only possible response that they have? Because on one level, that you want this to be tackled. You don't want people to just get away with leaving bad comments, rude comments, sexualized comments on videos that are supposed to be family friendly, and then have the family friendly channels penalized for it, even though they had nothing to do with it. So you don't want that to happen. On the flip side of it, you also want YouTube to target the people that are making these comments, and you want the people that are actually giving these comments to be penalized or kicked off the platform entirely. That is awesome. And so YouTube decided to take the stance of, well, let's just eliminate comments entirely on the videos that have minors in them. Well, okay, so there's one possible solution. Yes, and I'm glad that they did something with it, and it was done quickly, and that's really good, because you don't want these channels to be penalized when you have all of these content creators that are focused and working and grinding it out like you and I do on the weekly, sometimes daily basis. But at the same time, you want to make sure that the people that are causing the issue gets penalized, and you're not really going to find them if the comments is where they attack people, and in the comment, and it's the comments that you've disabled. And so it's an interesting topic, but I wanted to share this with you, that there are some folks at YouTube that are taking a very serious stance on this, and at least they're doing something. But what I'm really asking here is, what do you guys think? What do you think YouTube should do about this? I think it's more important that people start that YouTube starts blocking, like Scott just said. Why don't the vloggers block those users? I agree. Why doesn't YouTube go ahead and completely delete their channels? Why doesn't that happen in response to this? And I honestly think that it's a good way to go. I really do feel like that's the best way to go. But is that plausible? Because again, YouTube has somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 billion monthly active users. That doesn't include inactive users. So there's a lot going on. To have a staff, you cannot hire enough people to deal with that, as far as on a triage basis. And so if you wanted to go into people's comments and delete the comments and block the people from YouTube standpoint, they have to employ an AI. They have to. They don't have near as many employees. They don't have the money, believe it or not. They have a lot of money, but they don't have enough money to hire enough people to give all of us an individual consultant, or even half of us an individual consultant. They have to employ an AI. That's just how it works. It's the nature of the beast. As much as we hate it, it's just a fact. So how can you, other than disabling comments, which is what YouTube has decided to do, tackle these people so that they're removed from the platform, that they are the ones that are getting penalized, not the content creators? And this is a very serious question that YouTube is actually struggling with. And so, I'm kind of miffed on the whole point that this is even a problem. I don't know why people would go on YouTube and do this. But I also want to applaud YouTube's efforts, because the whole reason of me sharing all of that, it really is to point out that when you're faced with this issue, when you're faced with the issue that YouTube is faced with, and you have that many active monthly users, and you need to figure out a way to use our current structure in order to tackle what is apparently a widespread issue, I really do think that YouTube picked the best possible option that they have available to them, which is just to cut the comments entirely. It's not the best case scenario, because again, the best case scenario is to penalize the people that are actually causing the problems. And maybe they'll be able to weed those out over time if they're repeat offenders. But I agree with Scott here. I do think that when it comes to, and Roberto Blake talked about this also, where when it comes to the content creators themselves, there are certain keywords, there are certain ways that you can go in there and not just block users, but you can also block certain keywords so that comments like comments that would include certain words, such as sexual, or even if you're worried about a sub for sub type of thing, because YouTube is starting to delete channels that promote that as well. You can go into your comments and say, hey, if you say the words sub for sub, and you can do different variations of that, or I support you, or something like that, those comments will just automatically go into spam. Great idea, because the sub for sub thing, YouTube is cracking down pretty hardcore on that, and you don't want that. To be honest, you'll have an inflated channel. You'll definitely have a channel with numbers, but you will not have a decent engagement to number ratio, and that penalizes you, not from YouTube's standpoint, but from the value that other people, like corporations or brands, were, even in my own mind, I was in a sub for sub. That'll be awesome. Yeah. So check out Scott's site, because he says he has a list of those keywords. But, I was in a sub for sub community for a while back when I first started. And then I started realizing, holy crap, I have these numbers, but I'm not getting the engagement. And I realized, well, this is going to get worse the more numbers I get. So I was out. But the and it's a good thing I got out of there, because YouTube started cracking down on that. But yeah, so YouTube is now disabling comments on videos that have minors in them. And I think that is probably one of the better ways that YouTube can do it from an AI perspective. From a long-term permanent solution perspective, because you're still kind of penalizing family-friendly channels that have kids. Like, I now have a baby boy. He's only about 2 months old, 3 months old. And eventually I want to do videos with him, you know. But if he's in there, if he's in my videos may not have comments. And that's, in a sense, you're still penalizing these people for having kids, making videos, making memories on YouTube, which is really kind of the point for a lot of family vloggers. For a lot of them, I'm talking the majority of family vloggers, that is the purpose behind them being on YouTube, you know. I would just stay clear of kids is what's, you know, Scott. Well, I mean, if you have children, and not everyone with kids wants to do this, and that's perfectly fine. And you can stay away from having your kids in your videos, but you know, for a lot of us, and I count myself among them, it's kind of a really cool thing to do, because if you're a content creator and that is what you want to do with your life, and that's kind of what you, more than just a hobby, it can be a hobby, it can be something fun, and that's great. You kind of want to include your kids. And for some of us, if we're going to be a content creator, honestly, at some point, you're going to have to include your kids, because your kids, especially when they're young, are your entire life. And I'm not talking about devotion. I'm talking about they are needy as all get out, because they can't take care of themselves. And so if you really want to have a creator existence, you're really going to have to include kids at some point. No, Scott, you know, to be honest, as far as featuring family, no. I have a family vlog channel that I'm going to hope to focus on at some point. And we have 3 videos on there so far within the last couple months. But no, this channel is going to be this or stuff like this. Although I am thinking about creating a gaming channel, because that is something that's fun for me. I have a concept. I have the artwork done. I have a lot of the legwork finished. I just haven't done it, you know? And so, but yeah. So I honestly think that the gaming channel has a much more of a success potential than this one does, to be honest. This channel can't even break 100 views per video. It's honestly frustrating as all get out. But you know, it's really, I use my hippie character. If Scott, if you see my hippie character in my videos, I use that hippie character on the channel. That's the only character that's on the channel. And that's where I play retro games with the hippie character. So that was my concept. So, you know, I mean, I hope at some point here soon to do something like that while still doing this, you know. But yeah, I want to include my kids at some point. Like, I thought it'd be really cool to have one of my sons older. I mean, much older. I'm talking a few years down the road. I mean, talking years down the road. Like, I would love to make videos like this, or like the last one I made, you know, where I'm standing up in front of this green screen. And I'm doing stuff, and you have a presenter there, and it's my son, you know, going back and forth between him and I just think that's really cool. Well, I won't be able to do that, because I need to have access to the comments, you know, to talk about what's happening. And I won't be able to do that if this situation is not resolved by then, and just minors just cut out the comments altogether, you know. So I'm hoping that YouTube comes up with a better option, specifically an option that helps them target the people, the violators of this, and not the family-friendly channels, because these family vloggers are, in a sense, getting penalized by having their comments disabled. You know, because that's how people engage. How else do we know who the heck's liking this stuff? Because they no longer tweet out. So there used to be, TubeBuddy does this, where you can click on this button on the sidebar. It's a Chrome plugin, and you can see everyone that is mentioning your videos on Twitter. Well, YouTube no longer has any of those auto posts on Twitter. So I don't know who's liking my videos. I have no clue if they don't comment. Not everyone watches and wants to comment, and that's okay, you know. But the people that do comment, I consider those people my continual engagement. And Scott, you're one of them that's just always there, and I've come to rely upon people like you, Scott, you know, because you are always just the faithful ones, and it's like my YouTube family, you know. And so there's a problem that I have with having comments disabled, because in a sense it's kind of like being penalized, because that's the community that you have that engagement there. Well, they don't have it now if they include their kids. So what's the solution? Remove your kids from YouTube, I guess, which is hurts everybody, because the majority of the really well-known YouTubers, unfortunately for you and I, Scott, are younger kids. You and I have to work at it, right? You know, and so we really have to work hard at it sometimes. To being older and you know less less up there as far as for at least for me. I don't think, Scott, I think you have hair. I don't. I do not. So let me see this. To get a street cred when you don't have those subs, I know, right? Yeah, I know, Scott. You have a lot more than I do. I mean, for the life of me, I've been stuck in the 500s forever. Feels like forever. And then I got up to the 500 mark through sub for sub, to be honest with you, and that was a mistake. It was a mistake. I'm looking forward to doing the gaming channel once I have time. I have a baby. Time is hard, you know, and so I'm going to do that, and hopefully whenever we do that, do the gaming channel, maybe that'll take off a bit more. Time is the killer. It totally is. It totally is. I am addicted to sweet tea. I love tea. Holy cow. Love sweet tea. It's incredible. And so yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about. We'll talk about it as some more people come into the chat. But Scott, I'm interested. What do you think? I mean, what do you think about this whole spiel? Do you see it as being penalized if you have minors in your videos? If, for example, your comments are disabled just by nature because they don't want to do that? Or is that a good idea to have the YouTube comments just disabled because you have minors, but at least you're able to upload content? But that lack of engagement, man. I mean, this whole issue is really, really rough. And so now the fact that YouTube has started disabling comments, I think, on these channels so that these channels don't get penalized as far as having videos removed and channel strikes given, I think at least at the bare minimum, YouTube has decided to do something quickly that could eliminate, at least temporarily, the issue in such a way that so that channels no longer get penalized. Now, on the flip side, again, I'll say the fact that comments are being disabled, in a sense, does actually penalize vlogging channels, family vlogging channels that have minors in them, because it's impacting the way they engage with their YouTube community over an issue that wasn't their fault. And again, Scott just said that YouTube is protecting themselves because they don't want to get sued. And that's definitely a major issue, right? Because YouTube is now liable for other things as a result of the EU Article 13, different issue, you know, but they're now liable to be sued over copyrighted stuff. And so this whole thing, YouTube's protecting their butts. At least these channels are not getting penalized, at least not as much anymore. However, they are being penalized in the sense that their comments have been disabled. And that's how a lot of people engage. Again, that's how I engage with my YouTube family, in a sense, because otherwise I wouldn't know who's liking it, because again, they also took off the auto Twitter posting. And so there's that. Welcome, Chrissy. Welcome. Needs more subs. I feel a lot better about not getting my daughter, not letting my daughter get on YouTube account yet. She always watches YouTube Kids videos and being told to comment and watching to respond. Yeah, and so what do you think? Needs for subs. What do you think about comments being disabled, and whether or not it was a good move on YouTube's part, a bad move on YouTube's part? Is it saving family vlogging channels, or is it, in a sense, penalizing them for having kids on in their videos as a result of the comments being disabled and then engagement being cut in half? In my opinion, what do you think about that? And Chrissy, what do you think about that too, if you're still here? This is a very interesting topic. It really is, because honestly, I think it's I think Scott's right. I think and if you have a business, it does punish the wrong people. If you have a business and you own, and I said this in my last video, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out, because it's on Article 11, Article 13, and the adpocalypse. But in that video, I mentioned that YouTube is increasingly liable for a lot of issues that we, the creators, either accidentally or on purpose, purposefully create. I think by and large, it's accidental, but thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. But but yeah, so creators create a lot of issues for YouTube. Let's be honest, because it's not YouTube that's going into the comments and making these rude comments to minors. It's not YouTube that's doing it. They have to deal with it, and it's not YouTube that's advising creators to use copyrighted material that they can now get now that according to Article 13, they're liable to be sued over if they don't respond quickly. It's not YouTube's fault. They have to deal with it though. And so I'm including myself in this, we have a tendency to blame the platform for all of these issues when it's really fellow content creators that give them these issues to deal with. And they only have so many people to deal with it, and they have a very complicated platform that they have to navigate, and they have to do it fairly across the platform, which is very difficult for them to do, especially since they have an AI built in that's kind of writing its own not base code, but it's writing its own protocols because it's an AI, and so they have to engage with the AI as if it has a mind of its own to convince it to do XYZ for X amount of channels or this type of genre of channels. And so YouTube just disabling comments altogether until they figure out a better way makes sense, because now they're not only liable to be sued, like Scott said, for these comments and all of this sexual harassment. They're also now liable due to Article 11 and 13 for copyrighted titles, descriptions, and metadata. If you're dealing with Article 11, dealing with news agencies based in Europe, but then they're also liable for copyrighted thumbnails, content, B-roll, music, and they can get sued for all of it. If you owned the platform, you'd be disabling comments too. But I would be anyway. But is it the best way to go in the long term? It's definitely the best they can probably do in the short term until they figure it out. He said, I wish the world could work that way, where just me as the individual that can decide my child is more mature. Yeah. But if really something to weaponize. Yeah. So comments being used to weaponize. Who thinks this crap up? Honestly, why do people even do that? Yeah, I agree. I think it may be the best thing they can do in the short term until they come up with some kind of long-term solution to penalize the people, because Scott's right too. Penalize people that are actually doing this and making it, hard for the rest of us. So YouTube must be sued constantly, honestly. I mean, out of 2 billion, it was 1.7 or 1.8. I think it was 1.8 active monthly users, and that statistic was done back in That was taken back in September of last year. It may be higher now. Now I think they're 2 billion. Right. And so YouTube has grown, and not only do they have to deal with 2 billion people who are potentially leaving these bad comments on countless vlogging channels, they have 2 billion potential people that are uploading copyrighted material, which they can now get sued over. It's not just the content creators that are get penalized, according to Articles 11 and 13 in the EU. The platform itself can now be sued for content creators using copyrighted material. To the point, and this has been a case, for them for years. It got to the point that YouTube even offered their own audio library for us to use, which, by the way, I make full use of. I mean, almost every video I've made in the last 6 months, I've included music from the YouTube audio library. And they made that stuff available. Websites like Pixels is one of them that offers royalty-free B-roll. And all of this is in my last video. And there are a couple more resources I might share in a later video too, just to dive into that. But yeah, so this is a legitimate thing where we are the real issue here. I hate to say content creators are the real issue here. And so it's we give YouTube a big headache. We really do. And we're the ones, and I've been there too, and I still am there because there's a couple of things I am kind of miffed about that YouTube has done that I wish they've done differently. But having owned my own media business, and I still work in media, I still make websites, I still do videos for people. And I make a living off of that, and I love it, and I've learned how to do all that because of my time on YouTube for the last year or two. But this is a very serious thing because we cause YouTube these issues, right? Because why there would be no issues if YouTube didn't have users. And from a business owner's perspective, we want to deal with these things as quickly, but also as efficiently as possible, because I don't want to get sued. Scott, you're right. And so I may disagree with YouTube. I may disagree with how YouTube handles XYZ. But at the same time, I understand why they're doing it. And so my stance on this victimized, mentality of, it's always the platform's fault, that I'm not XYZ, I'm not growing, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. That's fine, But, to be fair, I am now in the stance of, okay, I understand what's going on. They have 2 billion people using their platform. They have to make a profit. They can't be sued on the regular. If they do, they're going to go out of business. I have more grace. I have more mercy for them. I really do. I feel like I should rename this channel to YouTube Apologetics. To be honest. I appreciate that. Scott, I listed off in that video that you saw yesterday. I think that's when I posted it. I listed all the places that I get my B-roll from when I don't film my own. And I filmed my own B-roll for the Casey Neistat Burger King winning the internet video. I did film my own B-roll for that, but every other video I've used these other guys. Yeah, YouTube Apologetics not going too far. Yeah, I was just joking about that. I'm not going to do that. That's YouTube's job. That's thin wire for 60. I know. Chaos Steady, this is a fact. YouTube is I understand. No, I understand you. I mean, it's a massive thing. But I apologize for the quality of this video. I am getting new equipment for live streaming, though. I am going to start live streaming some stuff a bit more because with the baby, I honestly don't have time. I do not have time, to make these videos every single week the way they have been. Dad to sons. Lee, what's up, man? Dude, so Lee, I don't know if you saw this, but we're talking about this, that family vlogging channels, videos with minors have been getting a lot of weird sexualized comments from random people. No one knows who these people are. And so these videos, these family vlogging channels have been penalized, strikes on channels, videos deleted because of these comments, which had nothing to do with them. So YouTube's response, and which I think may have been the best case scenario until they come up with a long-term, solution, is to disable comments on videos and entirely disable comments on videos that include minors. They really need to be penalizing the people that are making the comments. In a way, I feel like, even though I do believe that disabling comments on vlogging channels or on videos that include minors, in a way, is kind of penalizing the content creator themselves that have nothing to do with these comments being made. But what else are you going to do, until YouTube comes up with something? I'd love your thoughts on that, man. Staff up a bit more. Yeah, needs more subs is talking about a big how much they want to be a machine learning. Yeah. YouTube's AI has the run of the joint for sure. They definitely have the run of the joint for sure. But at the same time, it really isn't up to YouTube, is it? It's up to Google. Google owns the platform, so it's like Vine back in the day. They wanted to do a lot of stuff. I had the inside scoop on what Vine was up to. They never got around to it because Twitter didn't let them. And at the end of the day, Twitter was the one that shut them down, which sucks because it was about 1.5 years or 2 years after their Vine shut down. I ended up having a baby. And babies are like serious clickbait when it comes to videos. So I could have used my kid to get big on Vine, but whatever. And so is YouTube even profitable? YouTube is definitely profitable. Is definitely profitable. Whether or not YouTube is profitable in Google standards, I don't know, but I know that they have never reported a loss. From what I understand, as far back as I was able to go. Well, all right, since Google took over. Where they could use a few bodies in the chair somewhere. Yeah. I mean, no, I need for subs. I agree that YouTube needs to be staffed. But how much staff is going to be appropriate for 2 billion users? I mean, there really is only so much that one company can do for that. I mean, you're talking about 1/3 of the entire population of planet Earth. And let's put this in perspective. We're not talking million, we're talking billion. So YouTube officially now has 1/3 of the human race using the platform. And so 1/3 of the whole entire human race, it's going to get tricky. It's going to get tricky. You have to have a level. You have to have a level of AI for this to really be worth it, right? For it to work. Otherwise we're going to be waiting forever, and people can get away with a lot of stuff. And so you can do a lot with a little. You really can. I agree. So I don't know. Maybe YouTube can use more of a human touch. I definitely think when channel reviews are up, as far as should or should they not demonetize something, it's tricky. Because it's. I think that the turnaround time can probably be increased if you had more butts in the seats, like you were saying. At the same time, they have to have an AI to demonetize quickly unless they're going to get sued for whatever copyrighted material is being used. And that's Article 13 that's doing that to them, by the way. YouTube is doomed. They are cannibalizing themselves with all of this. I get that they are doing it for the right reasons. Yeah, intentions, and all that. But they're tying themselves up. Yeah, they are. They're tying themselves up. Yeah. So YouTube it's 2 billion users monthly. Those are only the active users. That's not the inactive. YouTube has more. Yeah, Creator Insider channel has been really great. That I'm glad that Tom Lung has been doing that. Uh, right, because again, YouTube is the only platform that does not have its own profile. They don't. Like YouTube doesn't have a YouTube channel. YouTube itself does not have a YouTube channel. At least they didn't. Creator Insider is probably the closest thing that they have to that. And so I think that's really cool that they do that. Even Google has a YouTube channel. I'm trying to figure that one out. So, yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think anyway. But no, so Lee, Dad to Sons, that's, by the way, it's Lee McKinn. You need to check him out on Instagram. He's really doing well over there. Dad to Sons on Twitter as well. What are your opinions, guys, on YouTube as a platform? As far as we've had these issues where now they're disabling comments on videos with minors. Now they are dealing with these copyright issues with Article 13 and Articles 11 and 13. You have this adpocalypse, which I think we need to get off of. It's not entirely YouTube's fault here, because you have an entire continent that's telling YouTube to shove it when it comes to that stuff. Ooh, him and I 2001. Welcome. And so, I'd love your thoughts on this. What do you guys think? If you're new to this chat, what do you think about YouTube disabling comments on videos that have minors in them? So family vloggers, beware. Is it a good short-term solution, and while they try to find a long-term solution to figuring out how to pinpoint who's making these comments and penalize them and not the creators? Is disabling comments a sense of being penalized to the creators because they're lacking that venue or that avenue of engagement? I would love your opinions on this. And is there a way that YouTube, in your opinion, is there a way that YouTube can be doing what they're doing better on any of it, even going to the copyright stuff, even going to, as need more subs talked about, and getting more butts in the seats in their office? Is BitChute still growing? I have not heard anything about that, to be honest. I haven't heard anything about that. They are censoring, it goes deeper, they're censoring free speech, and I think we are seeing the beginning of a revolt from YouTube to BitChute. I need to look into that. I really haven't looked into that too much, to be honest. Different sections with rules that apply in to said sections. That's interesting. I know that Twitch has stuff like that, where you're able to stream whatever you want to stream, and there are different categories that you can list it under, which then gives them, the viewers, a chance to opt out if they know it's mature content and stuff like that. That's an interesting thing that you can probably do with this. Slingshot Kid, hey buddy, how you doing, man? So yeah, everybody wants to do a live stream like Nick Nimmin or Dean Nimmin. I'm one of them. I'd love to do stuff like that, but then I'm realizing I don't have someone else to do it with me. So that's a little bit of a difficulty there. Dude, so Slingshot, we got a baby, man. I don't know if you can see this. I do not know if you can see this at all. Let me try to pull this up. Hello. Tell me, can you see that? Slingshot, that's what we've been up to. Taking care of the offspring. So this is really cool. I've been able to call him Offspring and him look at me. It's really kind of neat. Hey, Rick's in the house. That's awesome. Dude, so Rick, I was on your channel last night and you had a live stream scheduled and no one showed. At least not when I was there. Was everything all right? David, are you building a new computer for using OBS? Building a new computer? No. Using OBS, not yet. I have it. I have it. I have tinkered with it because I'm planning on using OBS for a gaming channel. Oh no, it's supposed to be for next week. That's rough. That's rough. Yeah, so I was thinking about using OBS for a gaming channel, and I want to use OBS for live streams on this channel. I'm honestly debating about doing only live streams on this channel moving forward. And let me know what you guys think about that, because the reason I'm thinking about doing that, still keeping the same concept and still doing videos like I'm doing them now, just not as often, maybe for special reasons like investigative type things, where like today I want to talk about YouTube disabling comments. Well, you know, that's kind of a this just in kind of thing, because I just read that. I literally just read that 20 minutes before I launched the live stream. But with the baby, it's been rough. With the baby, it's been rough to do these highly produced stuff. And I tried outsourcing the editing, and the editing came back as being really stupid and like really dumb. Like I needed to redo it. Yeah, so Slingshot Kid, let's talk about the adpocalypse. And so what happened was, and if you want to, I released a video yesterday that talks about it. What happened with the adpocalypse was that people were going on to family vlogging channels, and they were posting comments on the videos that had young kids, and I'm talking young kids. And they were making highly sexualized, highly inappropriate comments in those videos, pointed at the minorities or at the minors in the video. And as a result, the YouTube AI started demonetizing these videos, and some of these channels had hundreds of thousands of people following them. Started and they're family friendly. They did nothing wrong, but the AI started demonetizing them as a result of these comments. Well, then these comments started going like wildfire, where you know how it goes. People get it in their heads, and it's happening on the internet. So obviously, a mass amount of people want to do it. Well, then you started getting all of these family vlogging channels getting all of these comments, and the AI going overtime and demonetizing these channels, and penalizing the content creators for things that people were doing in the comments that were out of the content creators' control. And so you also have Article 11 and Article 13. That's really, I am going to show that, because Slingshot Kid, you are right. It's stupid as I'll get out. But you know, so you have these articles that were based in the EU that deal with news agencies. Article 11 dealt with news agencies. Now that Article 11 has passed, news agencies are now able to levy onto the platform itself. Hey, John, welcome. Motivation theory people in the house. But now that in the EU, you're able to, if you're a news agency, if you own a news agency, and someone on a platform, doesn't matter what platform, shares an article on their feed, or they use the same titles, etc. Well, those news agencies own the copyright to those, not just the titles, but the metadata. They can now levy onto the platform what they call a link tax, not the content creators, just the platform itself. And so let's just say the New York Times has a European, they don't, I don't think, but they have a European branch. I don't think they do, whatever. BBC is probably a better option. You know, and so I don't know, sure, Lee would know this. I don't know if BBC is actually involved in that. I don't know if they have ties in Europe. I don't know. Let's just say they do. I like it, and over half of YouTube's platform likes it, and they post it. Well, now YouTube is liable to a link tax for every single post, because all of that's copyrighted. That's Article 11. It hurts the platform, which then indirectly and or directly hurts us, because then they become way more strict on stuff and what we can do. Article 13 impacts us more predominantly, and it impacts the platform equally, because Article 13 talks about copyrighted material in general. based in Europe. If you use someone's video, use someone's music, you use someone's B-roll, even I don't think titles are included in that, but thumbnail images are included in that. They now have the ability not only to hold you as the content creator liable for this and have your video taken down, they can sue the platform, which makes YouTube liable for allowing it on their platform. I've read about that, and so Article 13 is now a huge 4-letter word in the YouTube office for a major issue, for a major reason, because now, if we all start using this one track, Vine would have been shut down because they had major copyright issues. If we have enough people on the platform using tracks or using whatever that's copyrighted in Europe, they could literally put YouTube out of business. And so this is forcing YouTube to crack down even more harshly on copyrighted material and quickly, because I think they have a certain amount of time. Yeah, that will affect Snacked, absolutely. We should still talk Lee, because they're doing stuff that's not Vine-esque that I kind of like. We'll see what's going to happen. And so you have Article 11 that's threatening platforms in general. It's probably going to impact Facebook more than YouTube, to be honest. We have Article 13 that's impacting people, copyrighted material, and demonetization across the board for copyrighted material, if it even sounds like it, even though it might be royalty free. And then you have all these rude comments on family vloggers. And so with all of that combined, which I think the two articles, 11 and 13, kind of laid the foundation for there to be an apocalypse, in my opinion, because it made it possible for the YouTube to work overtime on all this. But then the comments just threw it over the edge. You have YouTube going nuts with demonetization because they don't want to get their butts sued. And I don't blame them. YouTube is having all this stuff done to them. All of this is out of their control, but they're just going nuts trying to figure out how to put out fires. And I have very high levels of sympathy for them in this regard. I really do. So Slingshot Kid, that was a very long way for me to explain what's going on. But if there's anyone new in the chat, the specific reason for this is I'm going to talk about how family vlogging channels, and John, this may impact you. Because they're now disabling comments on videos, including minors, just as a broad stroke. I think from what I've read and what I know of YouTube, I really think that's a short-term solution. It's not permanent, because they're really working on a way to deal with this. But I agree with you, John. I think YouTube is ultimate goal is for us, is for them to motivate content creators to handle it. I don't know where the age cutoff is, to be honest. Hey, Jason and Wendy, welcome. I don't know where the cutoff is, as far as age groups. Like, I need to work on my family vlogging channel too. We have a couple videos we need to post on that. I'm interested to see what happens, because my kid is the very definition of minor. I'm glad you're not affected by that. I'm glad. They did say that they're going to allow a handful of stuff. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know what they're considering as minor, to be honest. Because Jason, you and Wendy have Dakota. We're making videos with our baby Grayson. And then John at Motivation Theory says that he has kids and that he hasn't been impacted by it yet either. Because you haven't bloody done anything, Lee. With no issues. See, John, if everyone was just creating content just like you, I think the YouTube would be a better place. Yeah, Jason, that's a good thing, because honestly, I think YouTube, and I agree with John here, YouTube is really pushing for the fact that they want us to filter out the comments. And it's not hard to do, right, guys? Because you can go into your settings and into your studio and put in keywords that you don't want to have in your comments. It's not that hard to do. I have not heard of Momo. It sounds like something my baby said. if that means anything. And my baby has some secrets, let me tell you. Never worked up the title and tags that make it weird with my kids. Yeah. Yeah, that didn't help either, because I think the spark of it was the yoga videos, right? Rick was telling me about that too, if you're still here. There were a bunch of weird, kind of risque, yoga videos. I didn't see them. I don't look that crap up, to be honest. But seriously, I mean, look at me, guys. Do I really look like I look at yoga videos? Some people do know what they're doing, but the rest of us seriously deal with it, right? Because spoiled apple, leaven in the bunch, the whole, what I'm talking about. I mean, there's a couple of people that ruins it for all of us. It's cliche, but it fits. It's cliche, but it fits. So while I have you guys, what I'm thinking about doing, because baby, a little bit of an update here. Baby is incredibly needy. And every dad in the room is like, well, yeah, and so time for yeah, retract that, Lee, sucker. But no, so I'm thinking about doing the weekly thing. Time for a whiskey. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm thinking about doing live streams with the updates and the news updates. Right. And so I'm thinking about doing live streams like this and just tackling this and do a community type of dialogue on what's happening. Because I'm putting a bunch of time. Yeah, and I need to update the podcast too. Because so what I'm thinking about doing is what Lee just mentioned too. I was thinking about doing a podcasting format, because I honestly don't have time to put all of the production value into what I made. I made a beast. I made this huge stinking beast. And I tend to do that I tend to go OCD nuts with my editing. And it always ends up being way more complicated than it ever needs to be. But I definitely have time to sit in front of a computer, a camera, and a microphone and just go nuts as far as just dialogue and talking about the news of the day or the news of the week. I'm debating about doing it that way, and then working on help content and doing videos and editing them when I have time. So John has definitely found a groove. And his videos, they're engaging, even though they don't have an incredible amount of production value. They're very simple, but they're really effective, and I like that. I really do like that. I enjoy how effective they are. I really do, but they're still engaging. John, how long does it take for you to edit a video? It's probably 2 or 3 hours. More time if you're including probably the graphic design work, because it does look like you're doing some graphic design work there. But for me to make a video, like the last video took me about 12 hours to make. That includes filming, but that's my best record time for platform news. The first one took me 18 hours. And so the way I have it now, unless I have someone helping me with the edit, it's not sustainable. It just isn't sustainable. I love making stuff like that because it's really neat. It's really creative. I get to, test out new things and learn new editing tricks. And I've been expanding my editing skill that way. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing what Lee suggested ages ago is doing more of a, podcasting format, I think, and doing something like this. And so I'm getting nice. I like that, John. Yeah. So I'm thinking about, I'm getting the a new lighting rig for the desk. I'm getting a new vlogging camera, camcorder that does it does 1080p. I want to get 4K, but holy crap, that's expensive. And I'm going to rework this whole thing so that this desk is actually over there. So that, I don't know if you saw the Finding Your Niche video that I did behind the scenes, the only one I've had time to do since I started the channel. or since I started the platform news thing. That background is going to be behind the in the live streams, and I'm going to do a more. The setup will be predominantly live streaming and podcasting in that way, so that I don't have to do production. I don't have to do anything. I'll have things that I want to talk about. I'll put up a weekly live streaming show essentially, and I think that's what I'm going to probably do. So maybe 4 to 6, soup to nuts. 4 to 6, now 2 to 3 to edit, 15 to 20 to film, 2 to 3 to write. Yeah, and your videos, John, feel like they're very well thought out or well researched, and so, of course, this is kind of what you do for your living too. And you've been interested in this for longer than you've been doing it specifically as a niche on YouTube too. So you have probably a bank or a reservoir of stuff to pull from too. Love your stuff. Holy cow, I love your stuff. And so, what do you guys think about the podcasting format moving forward? So I think I'm going to start doing that here in a couple weeks. We're getting the office carpeted, and we're carpeting the whole upstairs here. And so that's going to help with sound. I'm going to get a couple sound panels too. I'm hoping they'd be up and running in the live streaming format in about 2 to 3 weeks. Once I have that set up, then I'm going to just do the live stream format. I'm going to pull a page out of Rick's book, and just do live streams. And then I'm going to do behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to do other videos that are more produced, but then that gives me time to work on those over the couple of weeks, because I need to come up with a way to make what I got going on YouTube more sustainable. Because having a baby is making it very difficult, to do what I got to do with any hope of spending any time with my wife at all. Which I love my wife and I want to spend time with her, but I haven't been able to because I'm doing the YouTube grind while having a baby. We went to live stream and now rethinking about Dakota being in videos. Yeah. Well, it looks like the risk is now minimal, right, Jason? Because YouTube has decided to just disable comments in general. Which again, if you're going live, I don't know if that disables the chat. I don't think it does, right? I didn't read that, and then no one specified that as far as I could tell. So if you're just predominantly doing live streams, which is what you've been doing lately, that may be the way to go, for you if you're concerned about that. But you're doing really well as far as filtering out comments, and so I honestly don't think you're going to have any problems with that. But again, that's not gospel. Lee's like, we got the medical bill. We actually thought about taking baby back, and it's like, hey, it was a joke, but just taking him back and say, hey, do you do returns? The medical bill was stupid. It's thousands of dollars. So I don't know. Well, it's probably because you're not on the radar because you haven't had any problems with the comments in the past in regards to what the main issue is now. Jason, talking about your comments haven't been disabled. Probably because you have everything already in spam. You're probably not a target at all. Oh, but I missed the comment from Lee. Lee, I use Final Cut Pro X. Yeah, I use Final Cut Pro. And this is actually, guys, in the last video, I talked about how you can use royalty-free music and sound effects and all that stuff. Where do you get it? One of the bonus tips I gave was that if you use Final Cut Pro, they have a crap ton built into it. In fact, the intro that I use on my videos, all the sound effects were taken out of Final Cut Pro. Yeah, the AI tends to mess with people when it's bored. So, but I think as far as a short-term solution, I like the idea of YouTube disabling comments. I hate what it does. It kind of indirectly and or directly penalizes the content creators. Now, John has a good point, though, because Jason, you've never promoted yourself in any risque way, because again, this whole thing, the smoking gun to this whole adpocalypse thing was these videos were the videos where minors were in compromising positions doing yoga stuff, and they were kind of being promoted in that way. It's stupid, it's dumb. I never saw them because why would I? I didn't even know that was a thing. But honestly, that's the smoking gun. And you've never, ever done anything remotely close to that. So, Jason, I think you're probably fine, to be honest. To be fair. But again, my name is an apostle, so nothing I say is gospel. I like that. I'm going to use that line from now on. So, but there is that. I think I'm going to close this up because the whole purpose of doing live streams is to have a time limit. But I appreciate you guys coming in. And if you haven't commented on already, yeah, congrats on that, by the way, Jason, reaching 4K watch time. That's really cool. Do you know, as a short little tidbit before I go, I have worked tirelessly, and so have all of you on creating content and doing channel stuff, engaging, etc. My watch time for the year is literally only 342.7 hours. That is depressing. That is depressing. Right. If you kind of skirt the line of what's appropriate, you're going to get burned. That's just a fact. But let me see. Nope, that's the last 12 months, John. That be the last 12 months. That is very, very discouraging. Yeah, a little bit. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep grinding it, but doing it and getting 342.7 hours of watch time just doesn't. Ooh, that's rough. That is rough. So I'm grateful, though, that whenever I tell people about this, the hours that I'm getting, the watch time, people are surprised. I appreciate that. That actually encourages me because that makes me feel like people feel like I should be getting more. That gives me a little bit of a boost, a little bit of an ego boost. But yeah, it doesn't really look like I'm getting that ad revenue anytime soon. So, but anyway, I'm going to head out and do this stuff. Feel free to toss in the comments anything that related to the topic we were talking about, or just in general, what your thoughts are on the upcoming podcasting format. See if that does anything. But in the meantime, I'm going to go hang out with my boy and my wife, and I'm going to eat dinner because that's what you do when you're hungry. Appreciate you guys so very much. I really, really do. And have a great night. I love you too, Lee. We should Skype at some point. Actually, we should probably. I'll DM you on Twitter. We should catch up. All right, guys. Need anything? You know where I am. And have a good night. Cheers.